be able to get married again. All of those people who want to get married in California can now get married because their law has been deemed unconstitutional. And for the rest of the country, that means that other states can no longer put laws on the books that state that. However, it also doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a unilateral, like a all the way across the board decision for every state. So every state that has a law that says you can't get married if you're gay isn't going to just come down. That really is based more on the next decision, next quote, or next question, which is going up to them tomorrow, which is based on DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, which is essentially stating that if you are gay or lesbian, you cannot get married in this country. So that when that is struck down, that means that people essentially they're saying that you do have the right. So these two cases together is what makes or breaks whether gay people are going to be able to get married in this country or not, whether we will be able to actually have equality. So another argument I wanted to debunk or refute today on the show is people are also saying a lot of the time that gay marriage is like a slippery slope towards other things like polygamy or bestiality or incest or things like that. Well, first of all, it's an absurd comparison. It's apples and oranges. People often compare gay people or to any kind of pedophile or pedophilia, or being gay is the same as pedophilia or bestiality or whatever, which is completely wrong. And we tell you why. First of all, most pedophiles are heterosexual, not gay. That is a fact. You can look it up. It's a fact. 95% of pedophiles are heterosexual, not gay. That's the first point. Secondly, your sexuality has nothing to do with your sexual orientation has absolutely nothing to do with your personal what's the word I'm looking for? Disease or your personal fucked upness. And you can be gay, you can be straight, and still be fucked up in other ways. So one is not the same as the other. Also, bestiality and incest, to me, those things are disgusting, and the reason they're disgusting to me is because they do not have consent. You don't have consent you can't get consent from a dog or a cat or an animal. You can't get consent because they can't talk to you and they can't communicate. And you can't get consent from a child because a child doesn't have the ability to give consent. They're not old enough. They don't have a developed brain, and legally they're not able to give consent. So these are the differences between gay marriage and incest and those other things I mentioned. So we have a caller from 304. Let's see what he or she has to say. 304, you're on the air.
You ought to know who 304 is.
Oh, hi there. How are you?
Well, I'm leaning back. I just wanted to bring up one thing that I think is so hypocritical, vegetarian type. What do you think about the politician that found out his son was gay and he was against it and now he's for it?
What do I think about that? Well, I think a couple things. I think, first of all, I think that he should have come to that conclusion on his own without having to have a son that was gay. That's the first thing I think. I think that it is great that he changed his tune, he says, and he's changed his mind, and he's supporting his son, he's supporting gay rights, etc. I think that's wonderful. However, I get upset when people have to have someone close to them be affected by something in order for them to actually care about it. But that happens most of the time. That's the way most human people are. Most human beings are like that. You have to have something close to you strike home, like cancer or whatever the case is, before you care about that cause. So I understand that. So he's turned a new leaf and everything else. That's great. If it's true, that's great. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think he's stupid because he's the same thing as saying, oh, well, when it didn't involve any of my people, it was so bad, it was so wrong, and now that my son's that way, my son's special, and naturally, if he's that way, it's okay. Mm-hmm. But now, if he wasn't that okay, I'd be so against it.
I agree with you. I mean, to a point, I agree with you, because that's what I was trying to say is that on one hand, I feel that way too, because it's like, why can you not still see that people still deserve to have equality, and have the same civil liberties as everybody else without having to be close to home to you. I can do that. You can do that. But
but that to me is like saying he is so against incest or biracial marriages and everything. Oh, he was just hammering it down. He was preaching to it. Oh, it's a sin. You're going to hell. Here comes his daughter married to a black man, or here comes his daughter finding out that she had a illegitimate brother somewhere, and they got married and had sex. Oh, well, that's okay now. Oh, more power to you. Onward with it. Onward.
Yeah, I mean, hold on, sorry, I dropped my microphone. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think it's hypocritical in a lot of ways. I do. I think it's hypocritical, but I also understand, that's what I'm trying to say to you, is that I understand from both sides of the coin. I understand that he was a complete bigot and he changed his tune because of his child and whatever. And I'm just saying that even though that is kind of hypocritical and kind of disgusting that it took that for him to actually make the right choice, on the other hand, I think it's good that he actually has changed his tune and that he is trying to make a better way. And I think that, and what I was going to say also is that, and it's because typically we have to have somebody close to us to care about something. But I think that if he does actually change his tune about gay people because of his son, that he may also change his tune about interracial marriage or about other issues as well. Because I think once your mind is opened about one issue, a lot of times, if you're open-minded, which he obviously wasn't to begin with, but if it's opened his mind to some degree, then I think ultimately he may become a more open-minded person someday. Hopefully. That's what I hope. But I understand what you're saying.
As a politician now, if he was just a Johnny-come-lately, okay, I could accept that he changed his mind, which everybody could do. But now, to me, and you know how I am about politics, if he was in my state, I couldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. Because if he was against the gun control, what makes you think that he wouldn't be for it once one of his kids got killed? Right.
Exactly. And you're right. That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, that's a good point because he obviously is he obviously can be swayed enough to change his mind based upon what is going on in his personal life. But that's the thing I'm trying to say, though, is that I think that's what everybody does. Everybody. I mean, I have some convictions of my own, and I can imagine ever changing my mind no matter what. If my kid turned out to be a mass murderer, I wouldn't want him to be released just because he's my kid, I would still want him to be in prison.
Yeah, but you wonder about somebody like him.
Yeah, but someone like him, and that's the thing about politicians, though. They're all sleazy, and they do whatever they can just to keep their reputation.
The majority of them are. Now, some of them,
there are a few
are in my family. Huh?
I said there are a few good ones, of course, yes.
Yeah, well, as far as the federal politicians, I don't know that well. I know some U.S. congressmen, and I knew a couple West Virginia governors. But the ones around here that I know, there was a couple senators that I didn't think need to be holding the thing, but at least here in West Virginia, pretty much the majority, as far as I know them, are okay. We've even had some low county people, so to speak. Yeah. I mean, one of our sheriffs that served a 4-year term as sheriff was someone that had statutorically raped someone.
Yeah.
And you know who?
No.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I do? Okay. Oh, God. Okay. Okay, got it. Sorry, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. After that happened, he was elected as sheriff. Could you just imagine if...
Isn't that horrible? That's horrible. That's horrible, especially to have to live with somebody who's sheriff and knowing what they did to you. That's got to be a horrible feeling, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that politicians, that's what I'm saying. There's so many politicians like that who are just sleazy, disgusting people, and they still get elected in office, no matter what they do, no matter what they say, you know.
The fact I was a politician.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I ran for office in '95.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
just
really
city.
awesome.
But I'm
Still.
so glad I didn't get elected because at the time before I ran, one of our councilmen disagreed with the mayor, and since he disagreed, the mayor told him, saying to shut up, we're not going to discuss this. And he said, no, I think we deserve, or our public deserves for us to discuss it. So he had him drug out by 2 police officers, literally drugged.
Wow.
Wow. And I know if I'd gotten up there, I probably would have been dragged out too.
Yeah, I know.
So I say it's a good thing that I didn't get it. But no, I did run.
Well,
and then I have a cousin that was married to a county administrator. She served, I think, for like 15 or 20 years.
I didn't know any of that. Well, what do you think about what I'm sure it's not great. What's the environment like in West Virginia about gay people? Generally, I mean,
I don't really know because a lot of them. Oh, I know some, but they're not as outgoing in this one area I'm at as they are, say, in the capital city.
Right.
And on up. Since I'm in the very southern part of West Virginia, we're back with the hillbillies, and it's only 20 miles south of me, or no, actually north of me, northeast, and you got the hollers where they still have the outhouses.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of gay people. Not a lot of gay people where you are then, probably. Not a whole lot.
Not that are out.
That are out, yeah. Well, I don't blame them. I sure as hell wouldn't be out there either. You crazy? No way.
I know, because these are the redneck country people.
I know. Trust me. That's like East Texas and Dallas. But my mom's family is from East Texas, and being out there would be dangerous because it's like that there. It's very... anyway, rednecks and everything else. So,
yeah. And in Ohio, where my 2 aunts are, they both have gay friends.
Well, that's good. Ohio?
So, yeah.
Ohio's a lot more liberal than West Virginia.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, but it is. Yeah.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, what do you think about people who say gay people, when they say they want to get married, want a special right? It's a special right for gay people to want to get married. What do you think about that?
I haven't heard it called that. I don't think it's a special thing. I think live and let live, even though, as you know, I go to church now and everything, but I'm never going to be able to believe totally the way the churches do because I believe in live and let live.
Right. Well, that's definitely...
if it is wrong, if it is actually a sin, that it's not in my hands or any other human being or mortal's hands to make the judgment.
Well, even people who are religious and believe in that stuff, that like yourself, I agree. I mean, my grandmother was very religious, and she was like that too. She was like, people should just be able to do. I mean, she said people aren't hurting people, then whatever. She didn't agree with gay being gay or anything at all because that's how she was raised, and she was 96 years old, so she didn't believe in that. So I understand that because of her cultural upbringing and whatever. But I do understand also that the difference between her and a lot of people who are Bible thumpers and whatever, and who are trying to scream at you because you're gay. She wasn't like that. She was like, people are who they are, so just let people be alone if they're not hurting people. So you're like that too. Let people live and let live. So that's the way I think it should be. And really, the question about whether gays get married isn't a religious question anyway, because gays don't want to get married in a religious institutional church. They want to get married in the law, under the eyes of the law. So it has nothing to do with religion anyway. But people seem to bring it in, to the case all the time.
Well, if like you and Michael
Mm-hmm.
What I don't agree with